She thought she could silence him with hate. One woman's venomous words, sharp, cutting, and fueled by centuries of prejudice, pierced through a quiet afternoon. He wasn't looking for conflict. He only wanted to live his life in peace. But in an instant, the crowd froze, the air grew heavy, and every eye turned to him. What he did next didn't just answer her cruelty. It shattered the silence and left everyone questioning what they thought they knew about justice. The question is, will you be able to forget what happened that day? But then her voice cut through the air, sharp and venomous. Go back to Africa. The words hung in the open, slicing the peace of the afternoon. People nearby froze. A mother pulled her child closer. A man lowered his phone, his curiosity piqued. The world didn't stop, but for Jordan Miles, everything slowed. For a heartbeat, time itself seemed to stretch, as if the world was holding its breath, waiting to see how one man would respond to centuries of hate echoing through a single voice. It was supposed to be just another afternoon. Jordan Miles, a young man with dreams bigger than the city he lived in, had spent the morning working a long shift before stopping by the local park to clear his head. He loved this place, the laughter of children on the swings, the rustle of leaves as the wind swept through the trees, the sound of life moving peacefully around him. For Jordan, the park wasn't just an escape. It was a reminder that, despite the weight of the world, there were still pockets of calm. The sunlight fell warm on his shoulders, a quiet comfort he didn't yet know he would need. Jordan Miles had always known that the world could turn on him in an instant, but he didn't expect it to happen here, not in this quiet park. At first, it was just a glare. A woman sitting on the bench, her eyes fixed on him like he was an unwelcome intruder. Jordan tried to brush it off. He had learned long ago that if he reacted to every look, every whisper, he would spend his life drowning in other people's hate. So he kept walking, his hands in his pockets, his head down. The woman's words were venom, but it was her next move that changed everything. She stepped closer, her voice rising, her hand jabbing at the air as if she could push him out of existence with nothing but hate. The crowd stirred, their whispers sharp, their phones raised. Every lens pointed at Jordan Miles, capturing his stillness, waiting to twist his reaction into something it was not. Jordan felt the storm inside him: rage, anger, pain, exhaustion from years of carrying a weight he never asked for. His heart pounded, but his voice had yet to come. Then, in one deliberate step, he faced her fully. His chest rose, his eyes locked on hers, and for a moment, silence reclaimed the park. You could almost feel the electricity in the air, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. And then came the hardest part, the silence of those witnesses. No one spoke up. No one stepped forward. They just watched, as though his humiliation was a scene playing out on a screen instead of real life. The absence of support cut almost as deep as the woman's words. Jordan Miles could feel his heartbeat in his ears. Every second stretched, his mind caught between rage and restraint. He wanted to scream, to shout, to let the anger out, but he also knew the danger. One wrong move and the headlines wouldn't tell his side. They never did. He stood there, breathing heavy, while the woman's tirade echoed louder. The tension was unbearable. The crowd leaned closer, waiting. And Jordan knew, whatever he chose to do next would not only define this moment, but ripple far beyond it. Would he walk away and let her words linger as truth in the air? Or would he speak in a way that could finally pierce the silence and leave a mark none of them would ever forget? The answer was coming, and no one was ready for it. The woman's words were venom, but it was her next move that changed everything. She stepped closer, her voice rising, her hand jabbing at the air as if she could push him out of existence with nothing but hate. The crowd stirred, their whispers sharp, their phones raised. Every lens pointed at Jordan Miles, capturing his stillness, waiting to twist his reaction into something it was not. Jordan felt the storm inside him: rage, anger, pain, exhaustion from years of carrying a weight he never asked for. His heart pounded, but his voice had yet to come. Then, in one deliberate step, he faced her fully. His chest rose, his eyes locked on hers, and for a moment, silence reclaimed the park. You could almost feel the electricity in the air, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm. And then he spoke. Not in rage, not in violence, but in a voice that carried generations of struggle, resilience, and truth. His words cut sharper than her hate, his calm more powerful than her fury. He reminded her, and everyone listening, that he belonged, that he had every right to stand on this ground, to breathe this air, to live his life without apology. The woman faltered. Her anger spilled into stuttering shouts, but her voice no longer commanded the crowd. The power had shifted. The people who once stood silent now leaned forward, their faces changed, some ashamed, some moved, all unable to ignore the truth unfolding before them. Phones kept recording. The world would see this moment, not as a triumph of hate, but as his stand of dignity. For Jordan Miles, it wasn't just about silencing her, it was about breaking through the wall of silence that so often surrounds injustice. And in that instant, the entire park knew. This was no ordinary confrontation. This was the moment that would echo far beyond that afternoon. The shouting eventually faded. The woman, red-faced and trembling, tried to push her words louder, but the crowd no longer gave her power. One by one, voices rose, not in anger, but in defense of Jordan Miles. Strangers who had stood silent finally found the courage to speak. And in that moment, the balance shifted. She walked away, her hate trailing behind her like smoke dissolving into air, but the memory of what she said would linger long after she was gone. Jordan Miles didn't leave the park victorious. He left heavy, carrying yet another reminder that peace is fragile when your very existence is questioned. Yet beneath the weight, there was something else, something stronger. His words had cut through her hate, and more importantly, they had awakened the silence of those who watched. The people who once stood by had seen, had heard, and could no longer deny the reality unfolding right in front of them. The echo of his voice lingered long after the noise had died, a quiet reminder of courage born in the face of hate. Because this story isn't just about one man and one woman. It's about all the moments when hate is allowed to shout louder than justice. It's about the silence that follows, and whether we choose to break it. Jordan Miles walked away that day, but the echo of his stand reached farther than he ever imagined. It reached the phone's recording, the eyes watching, and the hearts of those who saw themselves in his struggle. And maybe, just maybe, it reached you too.